I saw recent news. I saw Twitter is getting a lot of backlash. Now, Twitter is uh, a place. Let's put it nicely. It's a place
A
where
cesspool.
I that was the word I wanted to avoid saying, but since it's out there, yes, it is a cesspool of very loud, passionate people. Let's put it nicely.
Yeah.
And so, drama on Twitter is like breathing air, it's not anything new, but this time they were getting big headlines. Twitter is getting canceled, which is the biggest joke because Twitter is like the headquarters of cancel culture. So, just when you read a title that says Twitter is getting canceled, it's like, wait, is it happening? Is it finally gone full circle? Are we finally reaching the point of no return? And so I looked into it, and Twitter is in a bit of a lawsuit right now. They're going through some trouble. They do have some of my sympathy, emphasis on some, because when you have such a big site and there are billions or trillions of posts, it's impossible to manage that by hand manually. So obviously they have a lot of automated services put into place, but I guess we should just rip the band-aid off. They were guilty of hosting child pornography, and when the victim asked them to try and remove it, they refused. And it was only after the child went through several weeks or maybe months, I forget, because the first time they requested was in 2019 December, so that's a long time. And they only finally removed the content of the minor's explicit activities when a federal officer, stepped in and intervened, saying you need to do this or you're violating federal law. And basically, a lot of the news outlets, they were basically saying how Twitter's policies did not see a violation with child pornography being put on the site, which,
That's disgusting.
yeah, that's not a good image, I'd say.
Dude, that, oh my God. Yeah, when I watched that video at first, because my friend told me something about another really really bad thing that Twitter does. And this is so funny because it comes back to
Social
the social
dilemma.
dilemma. So, I was with one of my buddies from high school yesterday, and he was telling me how Twitter got into some deep stuff, I don't know how long ago, because of an algorithm that they wrote that does facial recognition, according to your skin tone on the page and how it contrasts with the rest of the content. So that algorithm is, to put it lightly, inherently discriminatory because it will literally, if you take two different people with two different skin tones, one person has darker skin tone, one person has lighter skin tone. Obviously, if they're trying to do more contrasting, not facial, it just contrasts their skin to the page, and so it will literally put certain pictures above others because that quote unquote generates more viewership
Oh,
because it
so
looks not appealing to the human eye, but it's more
it
eye
pops out. It
catching
pops
because of
out.
the contrast. So something like this happened where there was a person that posted a tweet, and he had, I think, a picture of a white person and a black person, and he put them in different order every single time. He had like maybe 7 pictures. I forget the number of pictures. He had an X amount of pictures, and he tweeted every single time a different order of the pictures. Like, when you're tweeting something, you could put stuff in different order.
Yeah, yeah.
So he put it in a different order every time. And every single time that the tweet actually sent out and was uploaded and whatever, the same thing would happen where they would put the white person above the black person.
Yeah, but that's color contrast, so I'm sure whatever the background is for the black person, if they change the background.
No, no, no. The point is, I think the background was the same. It was just basically based on skin tone.
I mean, the way you describe it is it's based on the contrast of both the skin tone and the background.
Yeah, well, you're looking at this as a computer scientist, which is like really simply, and that's how I looked at it first. But then at the same time, I was like, wait,
Well, if they're doing
think
this,
broader picture right now.
yeah, no, of course. If they're doing this, I don't. This sounds like some smart, wise guy saying, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we create an algorithm that like manages to like pick out the perfect picture based on color contrast and some artsy nonsense?" And they probably like all good things in technology, it was probably created with like a good intention, and it turns out, wait a minute, that actually doesn't turn out so good in
Dude,
practice.
that's why programming is so hard, because there is always going to be a bug, even if there is no bugs.
Yeah, this isn't even a bug. This is just like, well, this is the result. This wasn't our intention, but now what?
Welcome to social media.
Welcome
But
to social-
anywho,
What's the point?
You
Why
know,
bother? Wait, no, I know the point. Money. You said it yourself. The point is to get more views.
yeah,
The social dilemma is might as well be a Bible at this point.
uh, anyways,
It was an algorithm created for the sole purpose of getting your attention to last longer on social media. That's literally what it's for.
it sucks, dude. It sucks.
I mean, and this might, you know,
We need to write better algorithms, in my opinion. We just need
yeah,
to...
okay, good idea, P. You want to start?
But I'd love to. I'm trying to. There needs to be some more. There needs to be some action taken
The thing
in a
is,
positive way.
in a positive way.
No, I'm not even trying to make a pun. I'm saying
No, it's true. But like, here's the thing. When social media started, it was very simple, like what the changes needed to be made to make it better, like just quality of life changes, you know. But as like the changes get better and better, the amount you can improve goes down. You know, it's the diminishing law of return, you know.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what that is, let me just use a very simple example that I heard in college. So, if you didn't have any food and you're starving, and you were given one slice of pizza, your level of happiness would go up substantially. You would be, assuming you like pizza, it would go up a lot, like a really significant amount. If you were given two slices of pizza, it would go up even higher. And if you were given three, it'd go a little bit higher, four, even a little bit higher. But now the question is, if you were given 1,000,000 pizzas, how happy would you be? And then if you were given 1,000,001 pizzas, how happy would you be? And the difference, the rate of happiness improvement from 1,000,000 to 1,000,001 is a lot lower than from 0 to 1. Even though the difference is the same, how much happiness you get isn't significantly changed. Another example is just money. If you went from $0 to $1, you've made infinitely more money. Whereas if you go from $1,000,000 to $1,001, technically you are more rich. You have more money, but you probably won't be more happy simply because of that. Whereas going from 0 to 1, you would be more happy. So what I'm saying is, for social media, when social media started, it was very basic, and the improvements were to make just the experience better. Combining with smartphone technology, you know, they just kept improving like the interactivity with the people. But like, this is like, we're 15 years in the future, whenever the first social media, like 2006, 5, 4, whenever the first social media. Now what can they do to get more money? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and you know a bit about business. Like, is there a problem with businesses stagnating, like not constantly growing but just staying where they are?
Not really.
So why is there such a business culture desire to grow and grow and grow?
People expect constant economic growth, and so people have that mentality when they go into business as well. When I mean, a lot of times, just look at a little mom and pop small business, on your average small business in the city, that we'll say a pizza shop, little rundown shack. They're not trying to expand and monopolize the whole pizza market in the US, right? They're just making what they can from that little corner in the city on Madison Ave or something, and then, you know, they They do it because it's something that's run in the family, or they love the community and they just want to provide the best quality pizza they can.
Yeah, but that restaurant business is intricate. But
Okay,
like,
what about a thrift shop? There aren't. I mean, a Goodwill is one very small example of a huge chain, but thrift shops, they're small businesses,
they
bagel
are.
shops. Yeah, dude,
I thought thrift shops were
bagel
like
shops. Think of anything. My point is that they don't try to expand. Their purpose is not to expand
it's
and
just
grow
to
and everything.
exist and survive.
Yes, exactly. You want to make some money and then that's it. Or well, not make some money. Rather, you want to generate some business. You want to generate cash flow from this
Enough
small
to
business,
last.
and that's it. And your whole purpose for existing as a small business is to cater to the community that already knows you, and hopefully that community can tell other people about you and they can share in that love of whatever you're selling.
But what happens when you transcend small business to corporate overlord?
Well, that's the thing. That's my point. The corporate side, the big businesses, their purpose is to grow, 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 and at least most of them is. And the ones that don't anymore, they're just kind of there. Like GM, for instance, is a perfect example. They're not growing right now. They're a car company. If anything, they're maybe shrinking. They fired a lot of people because of the pandemic. They got rid of a lot of people. But yeah, there are a bunch of companies right now that have been around for a long time. They just haven't grown either because it's not strategically right for them, or they don't have the means and capabilities to do so.
I guess.
So I found I found an article on The Verge that talks about the Twitter algorithm. So it was a neural network. And I mean, basically, most of the stuff I said was right, except it wasn't a post. It was more of the thumbnail image, not like YouTube thumbnail, but it was the thing that you put.
The
And
preview image or something.
yeah, in a way. And it had to do with cropping the photo as well. And a person basically found that on Zoom, something similar was happening. Zoom's facial recognition was not showing,
Darker skin tones.
yeah, the face of a black colleague on calls. And so he was like, what the hell is going on? He takes to Twitter and the same thing happens. And yeah, Twitter, I mean, the worst part is I found it really hard to find this article because I was searching while you were talking about the law of diminishing returns, and I had to just scour the internet to find this, which means
They don't want you knowing about
no,
this.
they don't, which is sad. This is really sad. I mean, this is important stuff.
It's not to them. The
Yeah.
less you know, the better.
Yeah, and this brings us back to the thing before. I mean, that explicit content, I just don't understand why as a huge company that you're supposed to monitor the safety of your traffic. You're not supposed to monitor the speech necessarily unless it's a danger to the people, but at least being and keeping a safe community, I feel like that's just paramount of what your responsibilities are as a company like Twitter.
Yeah, but the problem is if they act as the judge, jury, and executioner, then they decide what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, of course.
Which
And-
means they can tell you something that's perfectly innocent is a bad thing.
No, of course. I don't mean that they need to be the gate. Or no, rather, I do mean they need to be the gatekeeper. I don't think they need to be the one that decides what is good and bad. I think they just need to make sure that, for lack of better analogies, like a
Pete, listen to me. I just came up with like a really crazy, stupid idea. But like,
Okay.
I want you to hear me out. So, this goes back to loot boxes. So in loot boxes, one suggested idea was to get like third-party companies to review like loot box algorithms and such to make sure it's like not akin to gambling and it doesn't manipulate children. So basically get someone else to, what's the word? Not limit, to to check, to not redistribute. It's
just finish your thought because you're gonna lose it.
no, I have my thought. It's clear. So basically, if you got a third-party company to check and monitor and take care of Because in real casinos you have third parties that go into the machines, to the slot machines, and they check like, is this legal, is this up to code, is it like standard issue, is it not being rigged, whereas loot boxes, the regulation, that's the word. They loot boxes currently are not regulated. They are the company who makes them is the one who decides how they are implemented, each one. So one suggested idea was get a third party to review and regulate this stuff. Since you're not going to do it properly, obviously, let someone else do it. So this got me right now, this instant, I had a crazy idea. So you were talking about gatekeeping and all that good stuff. What if, hear me out, what if we had companies designed, like, and they, of course, this has to be like passed by law, by the government. But what if you had third-party companies and there was a law put in place that companies like Facebook and Twitter need to have someone else be the gatekeeper, or someone else be the either to share in the responsibility or to have someone else responsible for dealing with this. So that way they lose their power a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
I can't find anything right now of any companies that exist like this.
No, it doesn't exist.
I feel like they should.
It doesn't exist because it's not against the law, because it's a private company. That's the excuse that's popular on the internet nowadays.
You mean it is against the law?
It's not against the law. You don't need a third-party regulator for social media. You can be the regulator. Twitter doesn't need another company to tell them to monitor their stuff or to do things. They're the ones in charge of it. The same with Facebook, the same probably with Instagram. There's no one else. It's just them, and they might outsource it to like Southeast Asian countries, but for the main part it's their company and they decide what's right and what's wrong. And as we just established, if they're the judge, jury, and executioner, who's to stop them from saying what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right? This example of the implicit child actions, where it was a year it took for like action to be taken or something. And it's just like, why did it take a year? It takes them like 5 seconds to like copyright strike like music that owns an artist, but actual like illegal activity that was reported. Like this isn't like just like lurking around in there. Like the victim literally came and asked them politely, and their mother said, "Could you like take this down, please?" And they said, "We've reviewed the content and we are not going to take it down." It's like, wait, excuse me?
Can I also say I'm having a lot of trouble finding that article, of the article that the person on that YouTube video you sent me.
It's almost like Google doesn't want you to know.
It's literally almost like the search engine optimization here is very prioritizing not slandering social media.
Google would be a lot harder to regulate.
Oh my gosh, dude.
But like, I feel like this is it. This is the step. The way monopolies existed back in the day, and you needed antitrust laws and all that good stuff. This is the new step. This is the evolution of that. No, Pete, because like you just said it yourself. It's like they're the ones in charge of deciding right and wrong, and they can abuse that.
Yeah.
I know, shocking, right? But they could abuse that power.
Shocking.
Myanmar can speak on your behalf.
Dude, the problem is that there's just this whole power dynamic here. If you give this power to another person, or not another person, a third party, a completely unaffiliated third party, they're the ones that are now becoming that same thing that Twitter has essentially just held under their roof. Honestly, I'd be damned if Twitter didn't have just a whole department dedicated to this whole gatekeeping action, fact checking. Same thing at Facebook, same thing at all the other social media sites. I'd put all my Bitcoin on the fact that they probably have a department that handles this stuff alone.
You'd be surprised, but
no, really, because
no,
nowadays
you would be surprised. They have bots for that. You think, and they have people creating those bots. As for actual people,
that's my point.
Oh, okay.
That is what they do.
Yeah, but like bots are very limited.
That's my other thing. I thought that the really disturbing part about the video you sent me was that it sounded like a bot answered, which is so bad, dude.
I mean, they get reports all the time. and I'm sure some of them are not even like valid like
Yeah.
reports. So how can they monitor it? It's very difficult, obviously. But the point is, there needs to be a way to stop them from like having all the power over this, because we need to face facts. This is a powerful thing. Like the transferring of information has been history's honestly one of its strongest weapons.
Yeah.
Obviously this technology can't force you how to think, but it can definitely help influence what you're going to think about. It can definitely paint a picture that may or may not be the actual truth. There's a word for it. It's called propaganda. And honestly, I don't want to say everything on Twitter is propaganda, but like it's it I think biased is a pretty appropriate word for
Mm-hmm.
the like, how many unbiased people, like regardless of what you want to affiliate with, can you really call, if you're on Twitter, can you really call yourself an unbiased person? Like, honest to God?
Honestly, I think the only people that are on Twitter for unbiased reasons are the ones that
Watch the Flames.
solely. Yeah, I guess that's a very even smaller fraction of people, but I mean the people that are there for just memes.
That too, yeah.
Because hey, like we said, Twitter's a cesspool. So
memes will save the world.
Yeah, my friends send me stuff on Twitter, memes all the time, and I'm just never looking at it. So I apologize to you guys, but keep doing it anyway.
Honestly, memes memes are gonna like save the world. It's gonna happen.
I don't know about that necessarily.
How else like do people keep their sanity?
Uh,
Laugh through the apocalypse.
Doing. Nah, I think there are better ways to do it, but we don't have to get into that.